It took less than a second. One moment. 4 men were sitting in a steel chamber the size of a small van, tired and calm at the end of a long shift, breathing air pressured to 9 times what you and I breathe right now. In the next moment, a single mistake opened that chamber to the outside world, and the pressure that had kept them alive turned instantly into the thing that killed them. There was no warning, no time to react, no chance to survive. The laws of physics do not negotiate, and on that cold November morning, they were applied to 5 human bodies faster than a nerve could carry the signal of pain. This is the story of the Byford dolphin, the worst diving accident in the history of the North Sea, and one of the most violent demonstrations of pressure ever recorded. It is a story about the deep, about the strange and unforgiving world of the men who work in it, and about how a gap barely wide enough to matter can undo everything in an instant. To understand what happened, you first have to understand where these men lived. The Byford dolphin was a drilling rig, working the oil fields of the North Sea off the coast of Norway in the early 1980s. This was the frontier of the oil boom, cold, remote, and brutally dangerous. Beneath the waves lay wellheads and pipelines that had to be inspected, repaired, and maintained by human hands, in water hundreds of feet deep, in near total darkness, in temperatures that could kill an unprotected man in minutes. The men who did this work were called saturation divers, and what they did to their own bodies to make it possible is difficult to imagine. At the depths they worked, the pressure is crushing. A diver cannot simply swim down, do the job, and swim back up, because coming back up too fast would be lethal. As pressure drops, the gases dissolved in a diver's blood come out of solution and form bubbles, the way a bottle of soda fizzes when you open it. In the human body, those bubbles are catastrophic. This is decompression sickness, the bends, and it can cripple or kill. So instead of going up and down each day, saturation divers stay under pressure continuously for weeks at a time. They live inside a sealed chamber on the rig, pressurized to match the depth where they work. Their bodies become fully saturated with gas at the pressure, and they simply stay that way. When it is time to work, they transfer, still under pressure, into diving bell, which is lowered through the water to the sea floor. They step out, do the job, come back to the bell, and are lifted home to their chamber, never once returning to normal pressure. They eat there, they sleep there, they pass the days in a cramped steel world, breathing a special mixture of helium and oxygen that makes their voices high and strange, and only at the very end of a long assignment do they begin the slow, careful process of coming back to the surface pressure of the world the rest of us live in, a process called decompression that must be done gradually over many days, or it will kill them. That is the crucial thing to hold on to. These men were not simply in danger from the water. They were living every hour inside a pressure difference so extreme that the only thing standing between them and death was the machinery around them, working exactly as it should. On the 6th of November, 1983, that machinery was about to be undone by a moment of human error. There were 6 men involved that morning. 4 of them were divers, resting inside the living chambers after finishing their work. 2 were dive tenders, the surface crew whose job was to operate the equipment and move the divers safely between the bell and the chambers. The system worked like a series of connected rooms. There was the diving bell, which carried men down to the sea and back. There were the living chambers, where they stayed under pressure, and connecting them was a short, critical piece of equipment called a trunk, a passageway that clamped the bell to the chamber so divers could move between the two without ever losing the pressure. The procedure for separating the bell from the chambers was precise, and it had to be followed in an exact order. First, the connecting passage between the bell and the chamber had to be sealed. Then, and only then, the clamp holding the bell in place could be released. Every step depended on the one before it. Skip a step, or take them out of order, and the barrier holding back 9 atmospheres of pressure would simply be gone. That morning, the sequence broke down. The exact details of how have been argued over for decades. What is certain is this: the clamp connecting the diving bell to the chamber system was released while the passage was still open. While that morning, the sequence broke down. The exact details of how they have been argued over for decades. What is certain is this: the clamp connecting the diving bell to the chamber system was released while the passage was still open. While every diver who has gone down since and come safely back up has done so in a world made a little less forgiving of carelessness because of what was lost on that November morning. There is a hard lesson buried in this story, and it is not really about the deep sea at all. It is that the systems we build to keep ourselves safe are only as strong as their worst possible moment, that the difference between a routine day and a catastrophe is often nothing more than the order of 2 simple actions, and that when we ask people to work at the edge of what the human body can survive, we owe them more than good intentions and careful training. We owe them machines that forgive the mistakes we all eventually will make. The sea did not kill those men. The cold did not kill them. In the end, it was a gap, a small opening, left where it should have been sealed, and the enormous, patient, indifferent force of pressure waiting on the other side of it. The deep keeps its own accounts, and it is never in a hurry to collect.